Welcome back to the channel, everybody. It's crazy to think that it's the end of a decade. That's right, 2019 is almost over and 2020 is just a couple of days away. Hopefully you're watching this channel and this video because you have interest in setting goals, you want to move forward at the beginning of a new year and a new decade, and you want to achieve some things. And I understand setting goals can feel hard. Achieving them can feel even more difficult, and the fear of failure is extremely frustrating. So what we're going to talk about today is the 7 things you need to avoid and tips in order to keep you on track while you achieve those goals. But before we get started, I want to say thank you for checking out One Dude's Opinion. My purpose on this channel is to motivate you to do a set your soul on fire by setting a positive example for you. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, smash that like button, and leave me a comment down below and let me know what goals you're going after in 2020. I'd love to be able to get a dialogue going with you and see what I can do to help you. Now, I hope that you guys got to spend some time with your family around the holidays. I hope that you did, and I'm sure you spent some time reflecting on what went well and what didn't over the previous year. Maybe you achieved some things, maybe you didn't, but most likely if you didn't, you're trying to reflect on what you could have done differently in order to meet them the following year. So, with that said, tip number 1, mistake to avoid, is putting everything in a 12-month timeline or a 12-month box. Some things can be done much quicker than 12 months. That's not unrealistic whatsoever. But some goals, especially lofty goals, can take much more than 12 months. And that is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But you need to understand that things take time. So for example, one of my lofty goals is I want to make a difference in 100,000 people's lives by reaching 100,000 subscribers through this channel. Now, can that be done in 12 months? Absolutely. Of course it can. But that's not necessarily the goal that I'm going to set. And if I don't reach it within 12 months, I'm not going to allow myself to become frustrated by quitting. Also, don't wait until you have a running 12-month calendar. And what I mean by that is if you have a goal that you know you want to start January 1st, start now. Don't wait. Do not wait to set that goal. Start now, okay? Tip number 2 to avoid is setting too many goals. And what I mean by that is when you set too many goals, you've only got but so much time. Most of us have responsibilities. We're either parents or we're students or family members. We have jobs. So the amount of time that's not already committed to other things is not always as much as we would like to have. So what you need to do is you need to put a focus, a hyper focus on what you want, and then get tunnel vision and go after that goal. If you've got 7 or 8 or 9 lofty goals, you might not meet any of them because you're splitting your attention in so many different directions. Narrow your field of vision, focus on 1 or 2 goals, and remember, you can always add more. If you're making substantial progress, you can add more along the way. But when you're starting off, and if you've got a history of not meeting goals, narrow your field of vision. And what you may find is when you narrow that field of vision and you get that tunnel vision on that goal, you may find yourself running down that tunnel much faster than you previously thought you could because you did get that hyper focus. And if that is the case, then feel free to add some things along the way. Tip number 3 to avoid is stopping at the goal and not breaking it down. So a lot of people don't even write their goals down. In fact, a lot of people don't even have goals. And that's really, it saddens me to think that people are just floating through life and not taking ownership and thinking that what they want's just gonna fall in their lap. Because I promise you it's not. But don't stop at just writing down a goal. Break it down. Break it down into actionable steps that you can take in order to keep you on track. So for example, if you want to lose 20 pounds this year, or you want to lose 30 pounds this year, don't stop there. Break it down. How are you going to go about doing that? What do you need to do? How many days do you need to be in the gym? What type of workouts are you going to do? What days are you going to meal prep? You know what I'm saying? You can really get granular. Don't keep it at a 50,000 foot view. Break it down and really dive in and figure out how you're going to go about doing it. The great thing about doing that is you can figure out along the way what's working, what's not, and you can shift or you can stay in line. But if you don't track what you're doing, you don't really know what's working, and you also don't really know what's a detractor from what you're trying to do. So tip number 4 to avoid is setting the wrong goals for the wrong reasons. Is your ladder propped up against the right wall? What do I mean by that? Well, I know people, and I've known a lot of people that have climbed that ladder of success that everybody talks about, and they hate the view once they get there. They can't stand it because whatever ladder they were climbing, they weren't really climbing it for themselves. They were climbing it because they thought society told them they were supposed to. Their parents told them you're going to be a pharmacist, or you're going to be a lawyer, or you're going to be a doctor. And there's nothing wrong with that. Those are all fantastic careers. But if it doesn't set your soul on fire, what are you really doing? I do this because I genuinely want to leave the world in a better place than when I found it. I want to make a difference. I want to feel like my time on this earth has impacted people in a positive way, and that really gets me going. That really gets me excited. Like, yes, I want to make $100,000. I want to make $1 million. But it's not so much about the money. I want to achieve those goals through action that lights my soul on fire, so I can impact. If I can monetize and make that money, then I can impact more people's lives because I can give it away. I can put myself in a position where I'm in a space to give away and impact even more. So, again, tip number 4, don't set your goals because you think it's what other people want for you. Do what you want for yourself. Tip number 5, no purpose. You haven't defined your why. At some point, life is going to punch you in the mouth. And it's like Rocky Balboa said, or Sylvester Stallone, whatever you want to call him, the man's a goat, but it's not about how hard you can get. It's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and get up and keep fighting. Loose quote there, but that's the point. Are you going to give up the first time you get cracked in the mouth? Or are you going to get up and you're going to keep fighting? You're going to keep going after what you want. The first time one of your best friends says, "Bro, I'll be honest with you, I don't think that's going to work. Here's everything you haven't thought about as to why you're going to fail." First time your parents say, "Well, okay, that's all well and good, but what are you really going to do with your life?" First time your girlfriend says, "Okay, but how many hours are you working at your job this week? Did you get your promotion? Are you doing what I want you to do?" What are you going to do? How are you going to respond? Because it's not going to be their fault when you don't have the life that you want. When you haven't designed the life you want and you haven't been the architect of your own life the way you need to be, it's not going to be anybody else's fault if you're not where you want to be 5 years from now. You're not going to be able to play the blame game. It's going to be on you because of the choices you made. Now, we can do another video down the road about choices and how you always have choices. By the way, if you're finding any value in the content today, please, again, consider subscribing, smash that like button, and leave me a comment. Let me know about what you're thinking right now. Again, don't forget to leave me those 2020 goals. I really want to talk to you guys about that. Goal number 6, tip number 6 thing to avoid, right? Not looking at your goals often enough. You ever heard the phrase out of sight, out of mind? That applies to this. Put your goals somewhere that you're going to see them every single day. Put a sticky note on your mirror when you brush your teeth, because I hope you're brushing your teeth for your sake and everyone else's every single day, okay? That is one place I promise you're going to see your goals. You could put it in your phone, in your notes, but you're asking to be distracted if you do that. How many times have we picked up our phone to make a phone call, to send a text message, to check a status, whatever it may be? We picked it up with a certain intent and we got distracted by something else. I love the devices, but they can be distractions. I highly encourage you, go old school. Post-it note, put it on your mirror. I know people that literally have written their goals on Post-it notes and put it on the center of their steering wheel. Right? I have pictures of my family on the left and right side. I can still see the speedometer, but of my dash, because my family, keeping my family center and in focus is extremely important to me. So I have pictures of them on either side. So do that with your goals, right? Carry a notebook that you can look at every single day. When you get ideas that come in your mind, Write those down. Look at this every day. Look at it every week. Before you Netflix and chill all you want, but before you like waste an hour every night binge watching Netflix, spend 20 minutes, 30 minutes reviewing your goals and working towards your passion, right? Because when you're watching Netflix, keep in mind that that's somebody else following their dream. Nothing wrong with Netflix, but make sure you're investing time in your future, because that's what they're doing in their acting careers. They're following their passion. So make sure you follow yours. Tip number 7 is not taking action, right? I heard a quote that said, when is the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago was the answer. When's the second best time to plant a tree? Right now. Don't wait. Like I said earlier, if you know January 1, you're going to start going to the gym, go tomorrow. Go now. Leave now. Stop this video and go. And then come back and finish it. Don't wait. Take action. Punch fear in the face and go after what you want, because nobody's going to do it for you. I promise you that. Nobody's going to do it for you. And the last thing I want to see is regret in your eyes. My wife's Nana is at a nursing home, and we talked to some of the other residents there, and you can just see the regret in the eyes of some of these people. You can see, and some of that's probably loneliness and things along that way, but when you talk to some of them and you ask them what's the one piece of advice that they would give somebody 31 years old? Chase your dream. Go after what you want, because you'll regret it when you don't. When you're right here where I'm at, when you're 90 years old and you cannot physically go after what you want anymore, you'll regret it every single day. The last thing I ever want is a life full of regret. Regret is something that will never consume my eyes, and I don't ever want it to consume any of you. So, along with the tips that I've given you as to what to avoid, I want to help you quickly break down how to set those goals. Okay, so set SMART goals. SMART is an acronym for specific, set very specific goals, right? I want to earn $100,000. Okay, I want to earn $100,000 by making an impact so significant that it changes the lives of 100,000 people. Get very, very specific, and you'll get there much faster, because you will clearly have defined where you want to go. I want to get in shape and lose weight. Doesn't that sound like a wish list? If somebody told me that was their goal, I would tell them that sounds more like a wish list than it does a goal. I want to lose 30 pounds of body fat and put on 10 pounds of muscle. That's much more specific than I want to lose weight and get in shape. Number 2, measurable. How are you going to measure your goal along the way? How are you going to measure what your progress is? How are you going to measure where you are versus where you want to be? Again, I want to lose weight and get in shape. That's not measurable, because you haven't defined this, you haven't gotten specific. So if you haven't gotten specific, you can't measure it. So these all will go hand in hand. Next, spelling's not my strong suit. So if any of you are grammar Nazis, please don't be mean. All right, I'm kind of self-conscious about it. All right, attainable. You need to set attainable goals. Like I said earlier, I would love in my first year of being on YouTube to impact 100,000 people by obtaining 100,000 subscribers. Is that attainable? Sure. Is it the most realistic goal in the world? Maybe not. Now, if you want to lose 30 pounds or you want to lose 20 pounds, that's attainable, right? But you need to make sure that it's attainable in a time period which is realistic. You need to figure out roughly what can the average person lose per week. I'll go ahead and tell you it's about 2 to 3 pounds in a healthy manner. You lose more than that, it's majority water weight. I don't care what the health pills tell you. it's mostly water weight that you will put back on. So realistically, you can lose about 2 to 3 pounds of body fat a week. Then you want to project that out. Okay, what's my large goal as far as the amount of body fat I want to lose? How many weeks is it realistically going to take? Okay, make the goal attainable. Relevant. Are the action steps that you're making for the big goal relevant? I told my wife recently that I wanted to compete in another mixed martial arts or boxing match. For those of you who don't know, I used to be a competitive fighter. And when I told her that, she said, why? And I said, well, babe, you know I enjoy doing it. And she said, I know you love doing it, but why do you want to do it now? You haven't fought in a long time. How is that relevant to what your current goals are? And I thought about it, and sometimes you can do something on a whim and it doesn't have to always be in alignment with the big goal, but knowing me and the amount of time that I would invest preparing for it and the amount of time it would detract me from my other goals, she was right. It wasn't relevant to what my goals are right now. At one point I wanted to be pro, so fighting and training was relevant to that large goal. It's no longer relevant. So I didn't pursue it. So again, make sure that your small goals in order to move towards the large goal are relevant. Make sure they're in alignment. Last but not least, time-based. Make sure you set a day that you will achieve your goal, because once you do that, you've put pressure on yourself. Pressure makes diamonds. You don't need to give yourself anxiety. But that, again, it also helps you track how measurable, attainable, and relevant and specific your goal is. I want to lose 30 pounds. And if you said by October, okay, that's great. But could you do it a little sooner? Or do you think it's going to take you longer? You know what other commitments you have in your life. If you say, I want to lose 30 pounds in 3 weeks, odds are that's not realistic. The time base that you've put on that might be setting you up for failure. So give yourself a time-based goal, because if you don't know where you're going and when you plan on getting there, you won't know when you got there. Does that make sense? Also, I highly recommend a mastermind meeting where you connect with like-minded people who have goals. Doesn't have to be the same goal, but people who have goals and are working towards things just like you are, and accountability partners, people who would check in with you and say, hey, what'd you do today? What'd you do this week? All right, Cody, that doesn't really sound like what you told me last week you were going to do, or based on what you told me your long-term and lofty goals are and what you have planned for 2020, that doesn't really sound like what you're doing is in alignment with what you said you were going to do. So their job is not to beat you up, but their job is to hold you accountable to what you said you were going to do. So that about wraps it up. I hope you found value in this. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, again, please consider subscribing. Please smash that like button. Don't forget to leave me that comment. Let me know what your goals are, and ring that notification bell so when I produce content like this, you're the first to know. And thank you again for checking out one dude's opinion on how to set goals and get you where you want to be.